Hello, and welcome everyone back to our Next Nature webinars. It's good to be here. My name is Joseph Rivera. I am the Associate Conservation Manager at the San Diego River Valley Conservancy. And we have another addition to the series of webinars, only made possible through our partnership with the Green Infrastructure Consortium, REI Co-op, and the Condor Visual Media Group, which have an amazing setup here, and it's good to be a part of this. And now to introduce Miss Smarty Plants, also known as Pam Meisner. Welcome here.
Hi, Joseph.
How you doing?
Hi, Trish.
Hi,
I
Trish.
miss her. But Joseph's doing great. Hi, I am Pam Meisner, affectionately known as Miss Smarty Plants, and I am the Director of Operations and Programs at the Water Conservation Garden, this beautiful 6-acre site in East County that I hope after you see this video and we chat today, that you all come and visit. It's really, really great.
I mean, I watched the video, and the whole property was beautiful. It was amazing. It's the word for it was just unique.
It is. It's very, very unique. It's a learning garden, an education garden that teaches you how to save water in your landscape. And it doesn't have to be cactus and rock, because this isn't Arizona. But it does kind of guide you through it and gives you lots of inspiration and just makes you feel happy.
All right, well, let's get this started. We're going to start the video.
Okay. I'm Pam Meisner, also known as Miss Smarty Plants, here at the Water Conservation Garden in East County. This is a beautiful 6-acre site of drought-tolerant, lovely, beautiful, lush landscape that I'd love for you guys to come and visit. Now, we were established just about 22 years ago to teach people about how lovely drought-tolerant landscape can be. Doesn't have to be cactus and rock. And also save water, because here in Southern California, we have a dry, arid Mediterranean climate. And that doesn't mean that you have to have cactus here, but you can have lots of beautiful, lush landscape. As long as they're drought tolerant, you use the right type of irrigation, proper use of mulch, all of that stuff. And here at the garden, that's what we teach you. And as a secondary benefit at being at the garden, you get to have a sense of wellness and well-being and peace and just being out in nature. And after this past year, who doesn't need to do that? So I'm so excited to introduce you to some of my favorite topics, and it's called water harvesting, or saving water and keeping it on your property. Now, everybody knows about the typical rain barrels that you can get, and you put them on the corners of your house with your gutters going down into them. But today, I'm going to show you some really unique ways to save water that also add a little bit of spark and design to your landscape. One of those, and I'd really love you to take a quick look at this square box right here actually is a rain barrel. Now, it's tucked in underneath actually a living wall, which is really beautiful. But you can see exactly from the gutters up above how the water goes down in, and it goes into this rain barrel. There is a hose spout on there, and so you can water local plants and plants that are very close by around it. When we water this beautiful living wall, that water also drains into that rain catchment system, which actually is a box. It's not a rain barrel. We call them rain barrels, but it looks very different. Also, on the other side of here, we have a beautiful rain chain that is coming off of the gutter system. And down below it, right below it, you will see a catchment basin. And it's filled with rock, so it's basically a hole. We have it lined so that water doesn't go towards the foundation of your building. So we have it lined, and then we filled it with rock. So when it rains and the water comes down that chain, it fills up this basin. And then, really cool, because we are the Water Conservation Garden, we try to upcycle, reuse, reduce everything. So as you can see here, we've led a path. These are center roof tiles. that have been turned upside down and cut and put in a pattern on the ground so that when this rain basin right here overfills, the water comes out and goes down this channel and then also irrigates this other rain bed. Pretty amazing, right? So really some unique things that we have here at the garden. And they're all tucked away in little nooks and crannies. And when you get here, I just want you to enjoy and see all the wonderful ways that you can save water. One of our buildings here actually is built to save water. And you will notice the building, the roof of it is a V, an inverted V, not this way like you usually see a roof, but this way. That is so all of the rainwater captures in that V, runs down to the drain in the front of the building, and we have a large pipe that sticks out. And then underneath there, underneath the cement, we have a cistern or a water catchment system so that all that water goes back and into your groundwater and nothing is off of your property. The biggest key here in San Diego is to try to keep as much water, because it is so precious, into and always staying on your property. That's kind of what you want to do here. And we're showing you lots of different ways. As we wander and meander through the paths here at the garden, one of the things I want you to take a look at are our swales. Swales are channels that are carved into the dirt or DG or whatever you have at your yard that allow water and direct water from one area to another. So say you have a slope in your landscape. Here at the garden, we have a very high point of the garden and everything drains downward. So along our paths and our trails, we have incorporated some swales or channels so that when the water comes down the path, it automatically goes into those channels and then waters areas that we have and slows the water down. So you want to slow it and sink it. So as the water's coming down the path, you're going to have that water go into these swales. Some of these are also called rain gardens, where it's basically a hole with rock put in the top of it so the water can go in and sink into the soil. It will then water all the landscaping that you have around it. It's especially good for trees. And on some of them, again, here at the garden, we like to reuse everything. You'll notice some concrete, or sometimes it's called urbanite, sometimes it's called riprap. It was an old patio that we had. We broke it up. We used that concrete then to line the sides of the swale. We stained the concrete so that it looks like it's part of the earth and gives it a little design feature. And then that also helps hold up the sides of the channels that we're putting in. So really what I'm trying to inspire you to do, and the garden does, is give you unique and different ways to save our most precious resource, water. We do import our water here into San Diego, so we want to make sure that we're using it the best that we can. Now there's one last one that I want you to take a look at, and this one is a giant urn, so it's all about decor. And what we did was we planted the top of it, but you will notice that the water is coming into that planter. And if you take a quick look at, or a closer look when you're at the garden, at some of the parts and pieces that you need, you can find them at any big box, Home Depots, Lowe's, Dixie-line places. They're very inexpensive, and it's a very easy fix to do to make sure that you get your water into something that is being reused again and again. So I've given you a short little tour here of some of my favorite water harvesting things, but the garden is much more and much bigger than that. We are an education garden. We're a demonstration education garden. Here at the garden, you can see what plants are going to look like in 10 years. You can see what newly planted plants are like. You can find out what type of irrigation is best for certain areas, how to plant on a hillside. We have lots of workshops, lots of places to come and find out, take pictures, figure out kind of what you want to do, and the whole time you're saving water, because everything here at the garden talks about saving water here in San Diego. And I know you've heard the word drought, and you will always hear the word drought because of our climate. So it's always best to save water all the time, not just during what we call a drought, but always try and save water the best that you can. And our garden was developed to show you that, enhance and inspire you. And I really hope that you come and visit here at the garden. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. Miss Smarty Plants, the ambassador here, really loves all of her kids, and we educate thousands of kids a year, but not just kids, adults as well. So it has been absolutely wonderful speaking with Next to Nature. I'm so happy to be part of this. This is just awesome. So I invite you and encourage you to come visit the Water Conservation Garden. We're right here in East County. What a remarkable community resource we have, and it's really fun. Come visit us, you guys. We'd love to see you here.
The garden. What a beautiful setup you guys have there. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in my life before. It's so unique. You have all these different types of water conservation and water harvesting.
But it's done in such a beautiful way, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like, it's a instruction board out there. That's, but we do have those classes if you want that, the do-it-yourself and the step-by-step.
Mm-hmm.
We have that. But, yeah, it's pretty unique. We're really, really proud of it.
Yeah, you have a range of technique that gets, you use these barrels and you connect them to separate barrels just so they don't overflow. And then you also have these trinkets that you hang over the buildings that I've never seen before, but that is designed in such a beautiful way to just slow down the water so that the earth has enough time to just soak it all up.
Yeah.
And it's like simple things like that it doesn't really take a lot
They seem so simple when you're in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not in the mix, it's like foreign. And unfortunately here in Southern California, we get the really heavy rains, and our infrastructure within San Diego itself is not set up for drainage.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a lot of flooding. So what we try to impart at the garden is to slow it down, and then to sink it in, and then to just try and keep it on your property the best that you can.
Yeah, and you guys do that with the swales, which are so beautifully designed using all of your repurposed concrete, and those techniques that you use, anyone can do.
Yeah. And you know what? They're not really expensive. And it, as the video showed, a lot of people have the rain barrels on the four corners of their house, or two corners, or even one, and they're capturing water in that. And this just kind of takes it to that next level, the innovative part of keeping water on there. And then it blends in, as decor, or it doesn't look like, a barrel just sitting there.
Yeah, and it can range from any size of property that you have.
Your imagination is the only limit that you have.
Exactly,
really.
Which is what's so amazing about what you have there is that it's up to you on what you would like to make your place look like and how you would like to conserve water. It's what we want to emphasize with Next to Nature is that its beauty is going to be in the eyes of the holder. It's going to be in your eyes what you want to design, and that it's not one form fits all. If you have a small property, a large property, any size, the budget is it can vary between on what type of setup you want to have. But the thing is, you can do anything.
Exactly. It's all doable. It's not that you necessarily have to have a professional do it, but we do have all of the steps and all of the different levels
and as experts as yourself.
It's just like anything else. We get inspiration maybe from driving past a neighbor's yard and go, oh, I really like that, or looking up something in the bookstore or online. I'm old, so I still use the bookstore and love it, or the library. But and we get inspiration from all those different avenues, and the garden is another place to go and get that inspiration. And it will tell you what plant. You know, so many times you're around. Oh, I really love that. What's the name of that plant? And our garden just kind of helps you out in that area too.
Yeah, and you teach them what kind of plants are drought tolerant, what you need to, have this plant thrive. Like you said, I mean, we don't need to just use, cactus and rocks.
No.
Which is a good alternative.
Yeah.
But there's other alternatives.
Well, the
yeah.
smallest exhibits at the garden are actually our cactus and succulents. So 95% of almost all the plants in the garden are drought tolerant or very low water use.
Which is awesome.
And most people don't, they don't.
They don't
think of
realize
that
it, yeah.
Right off the bat, and it gives you, it just gives you just a lot of knowledge and a lot of different ideas that you thought, oh, maybe I could never do, and you actually can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and speaking of, we got a question here from our own Trish Bowes. She says, do you have guided tours of the garden now
Hi,
currently
Trish.
up and running?
Of course,
Hi,
we
Trish. How you
do.
doing?
And we are, hi, Trish. Yes, we are so happy that our garden was able to stay alive and vibrant throughout the COVID period and the sequestering at home period. And we were closed for about a 3-month period and then reopened up. And it is not only guided tours that we have a lot of workshops. We have a lot of classes. We have a lot of in-person one-on-one. We have design consultations, lots of different things available. But it's also a place to get the kids away from that screen. Because that was the way life had to be for a while, right? We had to do that. But also to get them out in nature and get yourself out in nature.
Definitely. I mean, and we spoke about this before, that how the kind of demographic of people kind of changed age-wise. Where
It did.
I mean,
we had a huge influx of family memberships. The garden's the best deal in town for a membership. Because it offers so much. But we have live tortoises there. We have our butterfly pavilion.
That's awesome.
We have lots of different things. Miss Smarty Plants in July and August is offering family enrichment programs where we're going to have a little more in detail. We have tortoise talks. We have adaptations. We have seed dispersal. These little family programs that you can sign up with. And you can go to our website, www.thegarden.org, O-R-G, not .com, thegarden.org, and you can see everything on there, all of our classes, what we offer, all of our in-person
That's
tours.
great.
Yeah.
And it's kind of difficult sometimes to see the pros in a pandemic, but one of them got families outdoors. We've had record numbers doing our Coast to Crest Challenge, and which we right now have a new setup. We have 5 new trails, and they're amazing trails. Hiked them myself.
Yeah.
And more family members, more people,
Exactly.
just going outside and enjoying
it's
nature.
safe. It's outside. So the garden, coming right out of the pandemic, followed all the CDC and all the county guidelines with the masking and the 6 feet and things like that. But once you get into the garden, you don't feel like you're in a pandemic because you are outside and you get to let the garden speak to you in whatever way that it does.
And you mentioned kind of a garden therapy program that you have, or a
We do.
workshop?
We do. We have. It's based on the Chinese garden bathing, and it's a wonderful garden experience where you come in. They're small groups, and you get to see nature in a very, very different way. It's led by someone who has practiced this for a very long time, and lets you see the garden, lets you see nature, and lets you see yourself in a whole different way. It's called garden therapy.
So when you walk out of there, your whole world's a different perspective now.
Yeah, it just gives you a different way to look at things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I do have another question on the board. This is from Manny Motive. Is there a tool or a way to measure water being conserved on your garden?
There is. The easiest way is if you have a rain barrel or something that is capturing the water off of your roof, because you take the square foot of your roof, and you can multiply that all out by using a specific formula, and we have that information on our website as well. Water is measured in acre feet of water, and so it's basically a foot high by the length of a football field. So that's kind of how you measure water. But there's a whole formula and everything like that that you can figure out. We have a lot of resources on our website as well. The San Diego County Water Authority has a great one as well. Lots of different ways to find out information. But one way that you can figure out how much water you're saving on your property is to go over a 5-month period. Take your water usage. On your water bill, you will find that. Whatever agency you're with, whether you're with Helix, the city, Sweetwater, Otay, you'll find out how much water that you use, and start making these little changes. Shutting off the water when you brush your teeth. Making sure you always have a nozzle on the end of your hose. Sweep your driveway. Don't use water to wash it down with. You know, we do that so much. When you're washing your car, do it over your landscape. If you have a dirt patch or a little bit of grass, wash it over there. Try and use drought-tolerant plants, and check your sprinklers, your irrigation. How many times have we driven down the freeway or
broken
seen
sprinklers over here,
right,
over there.
or and you know what, Joseph, the more and longer you water your driveway, it never gets any longer. So I don't know why we're going to water that. So just fix all those things, and you will see a huge decrease in your water usage. And 40% of your water usage is outside. It's outside. And when you use the proper type of irrigation, when you use mulch correctly, using mulch, that is like, whoa.
Yeah,
that is
it
one of the
makes-
best things you can do, because it keeps the water in your soil. And it also helps with weed abatement. But just those little things are really great.
They make a
ways
world of a difference.
yeah, and you know, I always tell the kids, shorten your showers. Now I'm telling the adults, shorten your showers, because you use about 20 gallons of water in a 5-minute shower. So if there's 3 million people in San Diego, simple math, 3 million people in San Diego, and 1/2 of the people in San Diego cut their shower down by 5 minutes. That's 20 gallons of water times 1.5 million gallons per day.
That's
Amazing.
a lot of water.
And that's only 5 minutes. So
And
lots to do.
And you talked about this. You had kids put together water bottles.
Yeah, I strung water bottles together like this that showed you how many water bottles you used in a 5-minute shower. And then I had moms come up and become earth heroes with Miss Smarty Plants and say they will cut their shower down by 5 minutes. Now, if you're in a 5 to 10 minute shower, you are our earth hero. But when you're in that 15 and 20 and 25 minutes, just 5 minutes will save so much water.
Yes.
Because just imagine you're multiplying that, even if you multiply it by 300,000 people to fix their sprinklers, or to turn the water off when they brush their teeth, or to turn the tap off when you're rinsing your dishes to put them in the dishwasher.
Yes.
All of these things add up because you multiply it by the amount of people we have.
And it's these little things. Sometimes they're so easy that they can forget, but it feels like California is always in a drought at some level.
And Joseph, we always will be.
Yes.
We always will be. We've got climate change. We've got our weather patterns changing, and we are arid Mediterranean climate, even though people wanted us to be Hawaii for so long. But I will tell you, if you come visit the garden, you can see how you can have a tropical look in your landscape and still have drought-tolerant plants in there.
That's awesome. Okay, we do have another question. From Manny Motive. He continues saying, because it doesn't rain as much in Southern California, if you have downtime, do you upgrade or make any adjustments to anything in your garden?
Yes. It used to be that San Diego had 2 growing seasons, summer and winter. Summer vegetables and then root vegetables. Now, you can kind of grow anything that you want now because of our climate. But the key is to grow plants that do well together, and also to use the right type of irrigation. Zone your plants. So don't put a plant that would use a lot or more frequent watering. Even though it's drought tolerant, it would need more frequent watering with a native plant that doesn't require a lot of water. So you're going to kind of zone your plants. In the garden, I mean, I can talk about it, but really, I'm telling you, come to the garden and kind of see what we're doing, because when you zone your plants, it puts like-minded, like water need-minded plants together. And then you don't have to worry about, oh, well, I've got to turn the sprinklers on for this. I will give you a rule of thumb, and that is less frequent and longer, deeper watering is always best.
Yes, get it to the roots.
Always best. And I'm telling you, the number one problem that we see when people come in with plants, Miss Smarty Plants or Paul or horticulture director, what's wrong with my plant? And the leaves are turning yellow and things like that. It's because they're using too much water or overwatering it. So
understanding the needs of your plant is the simplest fix that you can make, and your lawn or landscape will flourish.
Exactly.
Gets similar, like,
and incorporate natives.
Yes.
A lot of people think natives are dry and dead half the year, but I'm telling you, if you plant them correctly, you will have blooms and blossoms and strong plants year round.
Yes.
And incorporate them in with your flowers and your perennials and things like that. We're not telling you not to do that. We're just showing you how you can do it all together.
Yeah, you can create a pollinator garden that literally blooms all year round.
Absolutely.
And that supports the bees, that supports
our butterfly
the birds,
pavilion
the butterflies.
Is you can recreate that in your backyard, and we have butterflies cycling the whole butterfly season, which is basically the end of April, beginning of May-ish, all the way through to October.
Got it. Yeah. And imagine if one house did this, and then their neighbors did the same thing, both with water and maybe even just creating a community pollinator garden.
Exactly.
Just filling in these gaps in the watershed, just to make everything more green.
And school gardens, that's what I'm promoting right now, are school gardens to go to habitat gardens. They're a lot less work, a lot less maintenance, because, there's that summertime that no one's really tending those vegetables in that vegetable school garden, but put in pollinator plants, put in small trees, put in all of these things that naturally go together. And you know what? We need to save our pollinators. We need to save our bees and our butterflies. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Definitely. There's so many little things that we can do.
Yeah.
So I do have a question for you. What are some first steps that someone can take if they're just walking into the world of water conservation?
Well, number one is to kind of understand the importance of water. And that's kind of what we don't do, because water's always been available to us. We turn the faucet on, it's available to us. But if we had to maybe pedal a bike for half an hour to get a bucket of water, we might use it more efficiently. But we've become kind of lazy. We kind of have. But we're at the point now with water and importing our water, so there's a cost to that. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of money to import our water, either if it's from the Bay Delta or if it's from the Colorado River, and going through all of the tunnels, all the channels, all the desert, getting it here. Yeah. Water is going to cost. It's much cheaper than soda. It's much cheaper than milk, actually. But we really need to value it.
Yes.
A lot more than we have. And the only way that we do that is when it's not available to us, or we have to pay a lot for it. And so instead of getting there, let's just take these simple steps. And they're not, it's a change of behavior, but it's not like, oh, I've got to walk across the desert for my water. Turn that tap off. When you boil potatoes or pasta, let that water cool. Go out and give it to your
plants.
Give it to your plants.
Yeah.
It has some nutrients in it. And in the shower, in my house, let me just tell you, the water does not get hot right away, Joseph. So I have a bucket in there, pretty simple. And you know what's right next to my shower? My toilet. So I use that water to flush my toilet, or I will actually take it and water my plants.
Mm-hmm.
But because we are lazy, we just are, the toilet's right there. Just use it for that. Very, very simple.
It's just about
Knowing.
breaking and making habits.
It is. It's changing those little habits. And let me just tell you, my Earth Hero kids out there will hold you accountable.
I hope they do.
They will hold you accountable. And we have every strong belief in my heart of hearts that our youth is what's going to make those big changes.
Definitely.
And because if they grow up doing it what they should, and not just water, but recycling, reusing, reducing, all of that stuff. Don't use 50 million plastic bags anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Use one and keep reusing it. We're not going to change our habits so drastically that in one day we're going to save the earth.
Yeah.
But over a period of time, if we do all of those right things, we will.
If their parents help them to just live in a place that kind of promotes that and supports that, to live in a place that's so natural and sustainable, they're definitely going to learn habits to pass these on to their next generation.
And they
continue.
will.
Yes,
and they
definitely will.
Because they want the earth to be here for the animals that live in it. If nothing else, they're, and our hearts are here for that as well. So if we can make these consistent changes, and say you could take your water usage and cut it in half outside by over a year's period of time, making these changes. I'm not telling everybody to go out there. Nobody has the time or the money all at once sometimes. But to take a period of time and make those small changes. The next time you buy a plant, see if it's drought tolerant. See if it's a native, and use those.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll just make the neighborhood better.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I do have actually a question for you. It was just my personal interest. How did you get into the business of saving water?
Well, the Water Conservation Garden got me into the business of saving water. But Miss Smarty Plants has always been, or tried to be, an Earth Hero and use conservation. And I'm from the East Coast, and we never had sprinklers. We never had sprinklers, and when I got here, it was a whole different world. And I'm used to the big lush plants and the flowers, and I got here and I thought, I don't know if the desert look is for me. And then I went to the Water Conservation Garden, and that changed my whole perspective. And so I got into, hey, we need to get this out to everybody because it's such a wonderful and easy thing to do. And then getting more into the water field, you're finding out that water is really precious.
Yes.
It is very, very precious.
Yes.
And you just have to make a commitment and do that. But the biggest thing is come to the Water Conservation Garden.
You definitely should.
You guys will really, really love it.
And just a little more technical side, to people that don't have the experience with the different types of water that you can collect and recycle, could you give us a breakdown of the types that you use?
There's gray water. Gray water is typically what comes from your washer and dryer. A lot of people have gray water systems, and we are installing a complete gray water system into the garden in an irrigation exhibit with some funds that were given to us from the IRWM and the San Diego County Water Authority. So look for that coming in the fall. And we will have an actual washing machine out there with all the parts and pieces and the best way to do it and what type of detergents and how it's all done to use. There's potable water, there's reusable water. A lot of times landscape water can be reused. If you have a water feature at your home. We have a wonderful water feature, a few of them at the garden, and it's reusing water. It's taking water and not taking it and having it go back down into the groundwater, but a recirculating type of water. Another way that's really fun is that when I plant plants at home and even at the garden, you'll see it. You'll have plants that are up here. Make sure you're planting plants below that so that the water that drains out of those pots are watering something below it.
Yes, definitely.
Kind of cascading. It gives it a really kind of unique look, but also is reusing water.
Yeah, I was so impressed by the living wall that you had set up there.
I know, isn't that great?
How did you get that set up?
Actually, it was the design of our horticulture director, Paul Redeker. Hi, Paul. You better be on this call. And we worked with a company to help us develop that. Jim Mumford helped us kind of bring it all together. And then we had that square, really cool-looking rain barrel underneath that. And it kind of just all went in when we did. We built that new education center, and so that's one of the walls that we wanted everybody to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I would love to just, come by and learn how to do that.
Absolutely. You come by as my guest.
All right. Well, would be pretty much summing up our interview here. I'm going to thank everyone for coming. Thank everyone for watching and tuning in. We're going to thank the Green Infrastructure Consortium and REI Co-op as well. And the Condor Visual Media Group to having us here. Without it, you guys,
awesome. Thanks, you
wouldn't
guys.
be possible.
That's awesome.
And thank you to the special guest, Pam Meisner.
You're so welcome. And folks, let me just tell you, you are my Earth heroes. You guys are going to change the world, especially any kids out there that are watching. But you guys are going to change the world. Just make that little change, because it's you times a million. And that's really, really a lot. Come see us.
Yes,
Can't wait to
please
see
do.
you guys.
Up and coming, we're going to have August 2nd. We'll have Tom Hamilton from Lumbercycle talking about upcycling eucalyptus trees. And please join us at sdrvc.org, where you can go to the Next to Nature tab and then look at all the list of past webinars that we've had, and then the future ones that we'll have, as well as a list of all our resources. And her contact information is going to be there as well. And the website that they can find you at is
thegarden.org.
thegarden.org. You heard it.
And
all right.
Next to Nature.
We love it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. See you at the garden.